Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome inside Garage Door Sports, your no-holds-barred weekly discussion on everything in the sporting world. For all your news on hockey, baseball, basketball, football, soccer, and more, you've come to the right place. And now it's time for your hosts, Nick McVicker, Kyle Vardy, and Irfan Manji. That's right, folks. We are back. Another episode in quarantine means that I'm alone in the studio once again. Nick McVicker, joined through the Garage Door Sports Cup phone by my two great co-hosts, Kyle Vardy and Irfan Manji. Kyle, how you doing today?
Living the quarantine life. Got to try and find some stuff to do. So.
And Irfan, how about you, buddy? How are you doing?
Great. I have so much to do with school and work that I'm actually preoccupied, which is the complete opposite of a lot of people.
Fair enough. Well, I'm glad you guys are both here. Kyle, we missed you last week. I know you weren't feeling great. Glad you're feeling better.
Yeah, I had no voice when I woke up. It was kind of a pain, to be honest, because I'm not exactly the quietest person. So
This is true. But we're glad to have you back, and we are definitely glad to be back to bring you guys another episode. Today we are going to talk about our Movie Madness bracket. We will talk about our ideal NHL player. But first, let's start with the kickoff, sponsored by Canada Kicking Academy. Let me just pull up the ever-so-fun read for this. Should have done this before, I guess, but, you know, hey, things happen, right? Oh, now it's not working. All right, what's going on? Guys, what did you do? There we go. All right, calling all kickers and punchers in the Southern Ontario region. If you are looking for year-round professional development with elite competition, you need to train with the Canada Kicking Academy. The Ferraro brothers, Daniel and Gabe, are both University of Guelph alumni, and after illustrious university careers, they want to teach you everything they've learned over the years. If you want to take your special teams game to the next level, you need to train with the Canada Kicking Academy. Visit them at CanadaKickingAcademy.com and follow them on Instagram at Canada Kicking Academy. Yesterday, after I fell asleep at least, Brian Windhorst was on ESPN, and he had this to say regarding the NBA season. Talks between the Players Union and League this week. I've talked to both sides on this issue, and it is clear that the NBA is angling to set up a deal that enables them to shut down the season. Now, this is big news. This is the first we've heard of leagues straight up trying to figure out a way to shut down the season and not postpone and reschedule and figure out a way to get the games in. Kyle, what do you think this means moving forward for all of the leagues that play in the summer?
Well, honestly, I think it's really become a possibility for the NBA and probably hockey too, to be honest. Just the fact that they were, majority of the way through the season, only had a few games left, not really comparable to, like, say, the MLB, which hadn't even started yet and was just in preseason. I honestly would not be surprised if hockey got canceled as well, or if they did some sort of small playoff game with, like a couple teams go in. I don't think it'd be a full playoff bracket, and that's if they even do anything. And then obviously with MLB, I think as much as they want to do a full season, I think they're going to do a shortened season. So.
Yeah, no, it'll be interesting. I think you missed this last week, but Lawson Burnett was on our show, and he was saying that he thinks this could be the start of a shorter MLB season moving forward as well, not just for this season, because there's always been talks about possibly shortening it from 162 games down. Do you think this could be the lead into that? Yeah,
for sure. Like, it potentially could be, for sure. I think it all depends on how successful the season really becomes. Right? If it's a terrible season, and obviously there's teams that run away with it potentially, I could see them just saying, hey, no, we're going to stick to our regular season, how we've always done it. It's worked in the past, whereas maybe a little bit more competition, or potentially with it being a shortened season, there's some surprises that potentially could get in the playoffs or something like that, which could make the season a little bit more interesting. So I guess it really depends how it plays out.
Fair enough. Irfan, what are your thoughts on Windhorst's comments?
I think from a medical standpoint, it's a smart decision, and we're gonna see a lot of the leagues follow through. The amount of people that are going to be asymptomatic carriers in the next couple of months is going to increase tenfold, and I think the NBA is getting ahead of it because the U.S. hasn't been properly reporting their cases. I can see hockey following suit. I can see baseball with their shortened season, like Kyle said. But I think everything's going to be a freeze until just June or July and even into the fall. So great decision. I know one of the major leagues in soccer, well, I wouldn't say major league, but the Belgian league has closed down. They officially said that it's done and Club Brugge will be awarded the championship, but they also only had one game left in their season. But I would just say that medically it's a good decision. I'd rather us figure this out now and then be able to have a full season in the coming year.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, my concern, honestly, is how do you put a champion to the North American leagues, right? Like, if we shut everything down, no playoffs, no nothing for the NBA and NHL, are we just not awarding a champion this year? Is that how it's going to work? Are we just going to have a blank slate?
I would say it'd be very similar to a lockout year where nobody wins or there's nothing happening. So I guess they could just count it up or chalk it up as a lockout year, and then just try and look forward to a new year.
But see, I struggle with that because these players played. There's stats for this season. So are we just going to wipe those stats?
I mean, you can argue that you can give up or give out, I should say, like the Rocket Richard or the MVP or whatever for the time stamp that we hit. But in terms of the playoffs, there's so many teams that are vying for that final wild card. It doesn't justify having a playoff, but you can by all means have the NHL awards or the NBA awards up until that certain point. So you can give out the Hart if you want. You can give out the Vezina based on who you think is the best or the Coach of the Year, because I think we have substantial games played that we can give out these awards. And I'm sure the writers around this time or closer to the end of the season, like in the next 5-6 games, would probably put in their vote for their best players or their top players in the league. So I think, again, from a medical standpoint, the playoffs, we're going to lose the playoffs, but we can go ahead and give out awards because the season has been played.
Yeah, that's fair. Going back to the NHL, which we've talked about, PK Subban was just on First Take this past Thursday, I should say, and he put out the idea of a 31-team playoff.
That's because his team's sitting closer to the bottom.
Because his team's the 31st.
Which is true, right? But it would give all the teams a shot at the Stanley Cup, and I mean, I don't really think a 31-team playoff would work. It just doesn't make sense. But what about like a 24-team playoff, where like the top 8 teams get a bye?
Mm-hmm. I honestly don't think they have time for it. If they're gonna try and do something, I don't think they have the time for it. I think if they're gonna do it, it's got to be. I don't even see it if it is playoffs. I don't even see them carrying wild cards. I think it's just gonna be divisions. And I think number 1 gets a bye for the division, 2-3 playoff, and go from there.
Mm-hmm.
Purely because there's just not enough time to do your regular format.
No, definitely.
You've lost so much time already.
You're looking at time. You're looking at traveling through airports. Like there's so much to take into consideration. Are you going to cut down from 7 games to 5 games? And I think that's where you have to decide if you're willing to continue your season that way.
I honestly think it's going to go 5 games no matter what. I think.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think 5 games is the most that they could do based off time frames.
Yeah, they can also just, say we're going to have the games at a neutral site so that the teams don't have to travel aside from the next round.
Well, I also heard, and this
Yeah.
is something related to a different sport, but still relevant in the NHL world. The Calgary mayor said that if sports were to return this summer, right, like NHL, but more importantly CFL, the Stampeders and Flames would not be able to play at home. They've basically shut it down, which I think it's bold for sure, but it's something that needs to be brought into attention because some of these teams might not be allowed to play at home based off of how laws are set, and that's insane.
No, it's something definitely to consider, and I think that's why we got to understand that there might be neutral places where all these teams have to play out of, but then the amount of players staying in that location increases again, right? So you have to be about how many people you have coming in and out of the stadium, especially if the virus is still present and we're still afraid of people with asymptomatic symptoms and carriers.
Well, and if you think about the CFL, right, is how big their rosters are. There's potential that they could end up trimming down that roster and, not necessarily carrying those special team only players and just carrying people that will play both sides of the ball or will play, defense and special teams, just to try and limit the amount of potential spread if they were to contract anything.
No, for sure. And you know what? Friend of the show, Gabe Ferraro, obviously Canada Kicking Academy, but he came on before. This might be a great chance for him to lock onto a roster because they're not going to want to carry a kicker and a punter. They're going to want one guy to do both, right?
Yeah.
And there's very few kickers right now in the CFL that do both. I think there's only about 3 that do both sides of the kicking. So it's a chance for those kind of players who can do more than one thing. The fringe defender who's also a wide receiver might be able to link on because, hey, now you don't have to carry 2 third-string players. You have one who can do both sides.
Yeah, it all comes down to versatility is what it's going to come down to.
For sure. For sure. And versatility is a skill in and of itself, and these players are now going to get a chance, I think. And it's the same with the NFL. If this continues going into August, into September, right? Those more valuable, versatile players are going to be even more valuable than they are right now.
Yeah, you look at obviously this is a couple years ago, but Ben Zobrist with the Chicago Cubs, right?
Oh yeah,
utility guy. Wherever you need him to play, it's that type of player that's really been needed in sports in today's world.
Yeah, Brock Holt comes to mind as well.
Yeah, Marwin Gonzalez for Houston.
Brent Burns. No, he's mostly a defender now, but he could play forward. You got Mark Pysyk. I mean, come on, he played good at forward this year.
Yeah. Transition, yeah.
Hey, he did fine. I think he had 2 goals in 3 games or something.
He had 6 against the Leafs by himself.
Well, yeah, but
the Leafs.
It's the Leafs. The no defense Leafs? No way.
That's the type of thing, right? It's the Leafs are up on Florida by 1 point in the playoffs. How are they going to work that?
I don't know. I really don't know.
31-team playoff. Come on, Subban just told us that. Let's go.
I think there's a way to get rid of the teams that are already eliminated from playoff contention. If you already have an E.
Yeah, but imagine if Ottawa has to play the Caps in one game and they win, and the Caps are out.
People would lose their minds.
Oh God, I would lose my mind going that the Suns shouldn't be this far.
People would lose their minds, especially because the Sens would still get a top pick. Like that.
But actually, though, you would bring in so many viewers to that, though. The amount of money the NHL has lost over the last couple of weeks, they'd make it up in an instant, knowing that, hey, the Sens, the underdogs, beat one of the best teams in the league.
Well, yeah. I've always said it. The first sport that comes back is making all their money back right away.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, yeah.
But the sport that takes too long to try and bring it back, and like I get the circumstances and all that stuff. Like everything's different and all that kind of stuff. But whoever brings it back, the amount of people that just want to watch a sport right now.
Oh, it's
TSN is playing the Ocho with like, the pro golfer game that you see in all the bars, like the world championships of that. It's like they've become so desperate.
Do you know how sad it is too? Those are replays. Those aren't even live still. Like that's replays of the Ocho.
Yeah.
Like people are so desperate. We're watching replays of the Ocho.
Well, ESPN's putting down 2K20 games, like simulated games or whatever.
Yeah, well, they're doing the tournament. They're doing the 2K
exactly.
tournament.
So, I mean, you're getting viewers that way. Like, I think at this point, anyone would take any sort of sport, live sport, that they can.
If you bring basketball back and you have a basketball game, it's going to go, like, the ratings are going to go through the roof.
Of course. This is where Big 3 might jump in if the NBA closes down.
Well, the other thing is, like, all the 10 o'clock games, like on, obviously, Eastern 10 o'clock, right? Mm-hmm. That people would normally not watch. Now, people don't have to go to work the next day. So, like, that viewership's even going to jump up, too, right? Like, it's just crazy to think about.
Yeah, and you know what? I think if you do it based on personnel numbers, hockey is going to struggle to come back fast. Because you look at just one bench alone. There's 20 players. Yeah,
9 and 12 plus 2 goalies. 22, 23? Math.
12.
12 and 6. 12 and 6.
12
yeah, so there's 20 players per team.
Yeah.
On game day. On the ice. Head coach. 3 assistant coaches on the bench.
Yeah, trainers.
Trainer.
3 plus trainer,
equipment guy. That's 26 right there. Mm-hmm. Multiply that by 2. We're at 52. Add in 3 referees. 55. Add in 4 people in the penalty box and timekeeper's box. 59. And that includes nobody else. So that means there's no nutrition person in the back. That means there's no extra players who were scheduled to play but got sick.
Yeah.
Right? That means that's the bare minimum, basically. Maybe you could drop a couple assistant coaches and put them over headset from somewhere.
Mm-hmm. So you're looking at an average of 60 people.
Yeah.
Personnel per game.
Right? Whereas then you go to basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Basketball has... 12-man rosters for a game day?
Usually, yeah.
Okay, so 12-man.
Just say 12. Yeah.
Coach assistants. We'll put four coaches on the bench. So 16. And then add in a trainer. 17. That's 34. Then you add in the people that need to be on the side. So you have the timekeeper. You have the PA announcer. You have the statistician. You have the backup statistician because basketball has so many things they need to have 2. I know that for a fact. They're looking at like 40. That's more realistic to get into a facility faster than getting 60 plus people in.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
that's if they carry full rosters too.
That's if they carry full rosters, exactly.
They take, maybe
10?
8 to 10.
Yeah.
Maybe. Right? Because, like, I know Golden State earlier in the year was running with 7-man rotations the entire time.
Oh, yeah. And the Raptors at some points have gone with 8.
Mm-hmm.
They've dressed 10, but they've gone with 8.
It's one of those, they might do that just to limit the exposure. Like, if they'll take a couple people off the roster and just, who wouldn't even play anyways.
Yeah, who would just
they'll probably be in a suit on the bench anyways.
Yeah, or they'd be dressed and never touch the court.
Yeah, and do they really need a PA announcer if there's nobody in the stadium?
They actually do. I think it's required by the league. Unless the league changes that rule, they have to have a PA announcer.
Well, I think at this point everyone's going to make some sort of adjustment,
yeah.
right? So
I'm just saying as of right now, that would be
sure.
that would be the requirement.
yeah, like we're in unprecedented territory, and I think there's gonna be some people that are not gonna be fans of all these rules and changes and stuff that come out for this
For sure.
specific season, but nothing's ever happened like this before, so nobody really knows where to start or what to do. So.
No, I think this whole thing is unprecedented territory, and we're trying to figure it out little by little. But if they can get, if there's a league that I think has the best chance of getting figured out, it's probably NBA is going to have the first shot.
Yeah.
It's definitely it's definitely not CFL. Because one team alone is how many, Kyle, on a CFL roster?
CFL will be 50, I think.
Yeah. One team alone is 50 players, let alone head coach, OC, DC.
Actually, I guess it's a 53-man roster usually.
53? Okay. So 53-man roster plus head coach, OC, DC, any other coordinators that you want to that they have to have, which they don't
they have
really.
About six water boys. They have four yardsmen that have to do all like the lines and stuff like that. Like
yeah, a couple ball boys.
Reporters that are sitting on the sidelines.
That's the thing. There's going to be minimal media coverage.
Honestly, the one sport that I could see coming back would potentially be baseball.
How?
Because although they carry a giant roster, you don't need to carry that big of a roster, I don't think. Obviously, you have the 9 aside, right?
Yeah.
Realistically, you could cut down your bench to probably 2-3 people, maybe.
Yeah.
And then your bullpen would basically be probably 4 or 5 people.
And then the other starters are nowhere near the stadium, is what you're saying?
Yeah, like if you're not starting on that day, you don't show up. Like it's one of those. Justin Turner came out with the idea of potentially, if it's a tie game, ending it on a home run derby.
Yeah, but he's had that plan for years. I would like to point that out. This isn't new for him.
I agree, but honestly, I actually kind of agree with it, because if you think about it money wise, the amount of money you make when that 9th inning ends, just dropped, because all the parents with kids, all that kind of stuff.
Unless it's a midday game.
Even then, though, people, as soon as that 9th inning leaves, they're gone. Like, the stadium empties. And obviously you get the diehards and the people that actually want to stay and see how it ends that stay, right?
Yeah.
But if you were to say, hey, okay, 9 innings are done, we're going to have a home run derby to decide this, the amount of people that would probably stay just to watch that and experience that could potentially drive up some revenue. Not much, but some.
But we're talking TV though, like not going into the actual stadium to watch this. Or are you talking about actual fans being?
I'm talking about actual fans at the stadium.
Oh, I doubt that's gonna.
No, obviously, but it's like one of those, like, I know when I went to, like, it was like probably 4 or 5 years ago now. The Canada Day game and the Jays.
Yeah,
I went into like the 17th inning.
Oh no, different game.
There was maybe like 150 fans in the stadium in like the 11th inning, and it was just completely dead. But if you were to tell me, like, in the 9th inning on Canada Day that they would end the game on a home run derby, 100% people would have stayed.
Oh, it'll be like a playoff game, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it, but I feel like that's not the thing that needs to be worried about right now.
No, but it's one of those, if you do want to, have your season and have it, you go in there, play the game, get out, that would probably be the quickest way.
Yeah, fair enough. It's a thought for sure. But, yeah, no, I wanted to get your guys' opinion on the Windhurst thing. I'm glad we had this conversation. I think it's a good one. I'm sure we're going to have it a couple more times throughout the summer about how we think sports are going to come back. But why don't we end that here today, and we'll move on. This was the Kickoff, sponsored by Canada Kicking Academy. If you are looking for year-round professional development with elite competition, you need to train with the Canada Kicking Academy. Visit them at CanadaKickingAcademy.com or follow them on Instagram at Canada Kicking Academy. Let's move on, and we're going to have a little bit of fun here, boys. Or as much fun as we can, considering we're all still stuck inside. We are going to create our ideal NHL player. Now, we have 5, sections of the body. I guess I don't really know how to say that without sounding weird. We have 5 sections that we are going to put one current NHL player, or at least someone from the last 10 years, because I know Irfan had a different thought. And we can put we can use them once and put them in, and we'll put together our ideal player. So, Irfan, I know you had a really good setup. I kind of want to hear yours, so I'm going to let you start. All right, buddy?
Do you want to hear all 5?
Do we want to hear all 5? You know what? No, let's go with 1. Let's start with 1. All right, okay. Let's start. We'll go head to toe.
Sure.
Okay, so the first category is vision and mind. So how the player sees the game and how the player thinks the game. So you start us off.
Sure. I put Sidney Crosby because we say current player. I think Sid's vision, Sid's mindset, the way he thinks, the way he practices, the way he leads his team. I think you want someone with that brain in your locker room or on the ice as your ideal player.
Kyle, you?
No, I had the exact same thing. I totally agree with that.
Well, damn, why don't we just call it a clean sweep there? Sydney, you are our vision and mindset head. All right, we'll move on to body. All right, the guy's physical presence on the ice. Kyle, why don't you get us started on this one?
Body, I actually had Alexander Ovechkin. I think he's built like a brick shit house. Pardon my words. But he's got that body. Like, obviously, there's other parts of him, such as his speed and his hands, that you'd obviously have too. But just that he's built. He's not too big. He's not too small. But he is honestly like the perfect type of body in today's NHL.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that one. My body for current NHL players. Oh, who was it? I had it. Come back to me, Irfan. You go.
I went off the board for a player that doesn't play in the league anymore, and I went Jaromir Jagr. Because that man, when he has a puck on his stick, it's so hard to take it off. He just sticks his ass in the way and says, "Come at me," and you're not going to get the puck from him if he decides he doesn't want to give it up. So I like the Ovi pick, but I think Jagr's butt and body stands out there.
Jagr will be basically like the very similar style of bodies, right? So,
for sure.
Yeah.
Obviously, with Jagr that if you built it around his body, you got him playing for 25 plus years. So
exactly, yeah. But I know the difference is he doesn't run and gun you with big hits like Ovi does, but he's good at protecting the puck.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna go a little off the board too, but still within current NHL players. Irfan. I'm gonna go with Leon Draisaitl. The way that guy can protect the puck in the corners and the way he can fight out from using his body is very impressive. I think Ovi is a great choice, Kyle, and I think Jagr obviously is another great choice. But if I want to go a little bit different, Draisaitl is my pick. All right.
Yeah, no, it's one of those. I don't think there's any. Well, there is definitely a wrong pick, but there's just
one of those 3, isn't it?
Think about.
All right, let's move on. We'll go with hands, the guy with the silkiest set of mitts, who can maneuver his way in and out of any situation just by deking you standing still. I'm going to start, and I would like to go with Nate McKinnon. When he has the puck and he's controlling the puck, yes, obviously his skating ability is well known, and if I hadn't already made my pick for feet, I probably would have picked him for that. But the way he can handle the puck in such tight spaces and still manage to come out with it most of the time is phenomenal. So that's why he is my pick. Irfan?
When I think of hands, I think of Patrick Kane. If you see his goal from the 2010 final, it's just that quick release, the quick movement. I think he has arguably the best backhand in the league. I think Crosby's second to that, but his hands are just the way he moves the puck, the way he's able to distribute it with his pace. It's great.
Nice. Kyle?
I had a tie for mine. I did have Patrick Kane there for me, but I also put Kucherov there as well. Just because it's, I see those two as just outstanding. With at 1 second the puck's on the right side, then all of a sudden it's on the left side and in the back of the net. You don't even know how it got there, and it's just silky mitts is what they both have. So
yeah,
agreed. Yeah, Kucherov the last 2 years definitely has improved with his puck control and his quickness of his hands. So that's great.
Yeah, no, for sure. All right, we got 2 more. Legs. The player's ability to make quick bursts, the player's ability to get up and down the ice, and not get knocked off his feet, is all in the legs. So, Irfan, who do you have for your legs?
So I combined legs and feet into one just because I thought it made more sense. If you're going to use the speed and the strength of the guy with the legs, you also want his feet because he can handle the speed. And I went Connor McDavid.
Okay, that's a good show.
The guy goes 0 to 100 in a matter of seconds. I mean, I can keep talking about him, but he'd be my pick for those.
Kyle?
Well, I kind of kept them separate, so I had McKinnon for legs.
McKinnon, okay.
Just because I think he obviously Connor McDavid has very small legs if we're comparing things, right? So I want a guy who's a little more built and actually can use them, use his edges, that kind of stuff, and pushes those legs to the limit. And I think McKinnon does that.
Okay.
If I'm going to say feet, obviously feet, I had McDavid, because obviously he's one of the quickest, if not the quickest in the league. So.
All right. Hey, I like both of those. Those are great options. For me, legs, I went with McDavid. Because of how fast he can get the legs moving. I think that's the key, and being able to do that from the hip all the way down to the feet is what's important, and he has that in spades. For feet, I went probably way off the board in your minds, but hear me out on this one. I went with Thomas Chabot. And the way he can use his edges and the way he is able to convert from going forward to going backwards and still not lose speed is unbelievable. If you had a chance to watch him, which I know a lot of us in the Toronto region don't get that opportunity every week. Irfan does, obviously. But to see him transition from the skating forward to the skating backward is what I always saw when he played, and that's why I picked him for feet.
Oh, he's so smooth. I agree with you 100% on that.
Yeah, I know it's a bit off the board considering we were talking about McDavid and McKinnon.
No, for sure. I mean, if you ask me to split those two positions up, I go feet with Dylan Larkin because of the way he can move around in the offensive zone.
It's another good one.
Yeah.
All right. So, our perfect players for Kyle. I'm going to run through it quickly. You have Crosby for your vision. You had. Did you want Kane or Kucherov?
Are we missing wrist? Oh.
No, we didn't have wrist. We only had 5.
Oh.
Did you want to add wrist? We can add wrist. Do you want to add wrist?
Well, no, for me it was shot, and if you think about shot, it's Ovechkin for me. But
oh, we want to do shot. We can do shot.
All right.
So you had Ovi for your shot.
Yeah.
If we're just talking pure shot, I have Ovi too.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's gonna argue. I mean, Stammer's second on that, but Ovi's pure lethal.
If we're talking,
apparently Kucherov was saying that Tarasenko is the best shot in the NHL, is what he was saying. But I'm I don't know if he really compares.
No, Ovi's gonna be in his little circle there, and it's gonna go in the net. With Tarasenko, it's not always gonna hit the target, or it's not gonna go in all the time.
It's tough. I mean,
you know he's gonna be in his spot, and even though you know he's gonna be in his spot, it's still going in the back of the net. Like,
He's getting to that
everybody
spot and
knows
he's
what's
still beating
happening.
you. Like
Yeah,
that's when you
everybody
know
knows
what to do.
where the puck is going.
And
Everybody
he's
knows.
beating the best goalies in the league. You know what I mean? So
If
Yeah,
we're
so like,
talking
I just
wrist,
wanted to add that little part.
that's fine. If we were talking wrist, I would add Kane as my wrist.
Yeah, I guess.
For exactly what you
It's more
said,
like
Irfan.
like flash shot.
Yeah. No, but if we were just talking like pure wrist and wrist action, for what Irfan said about Kane's hands, that's the reason I would use his wrist. The ability to do the backhand, the wrist shot, everything. That comes down to wrist, and that's why I would have picked Kane for if we were just talking straight wrist. But we're getting a little technical.
Putting hands and wrist into one, but
yeah, which is fine. So let me run through this one more time. So for Kyle, you have Crosby. For your hands, you had. Did you want Kane or Kucherov?
Put Kane.
Put Kane. Okay, put Kane. For shot, you have Ovi. For body, you have Ovi. For legs, you have McKinnon, and for feet, you have McDavid. That's a very, very talented player.
Absolutely.
Look a little oblong, I think, with the tiny feet, but it's fine. Irfan, Crosby is your head and vision. Your body is Yager. That's a big body. Legs, McDavid. Feet, I switched it to Larkin because you did say it.
Yeah, let's do that. That's fine because he can handle it.
Hands, you have Kane, and then shot, like all of us, you have Ovi. And then for me, I have Crosby as well for my head. I have Draisaitl for my body. Legs of McDavid, feet of Shabbat, hands of McKinnon, and shot of Ovi. 3 very, very talented players by the sounds of it. Would be interesting to see somebody like that actually play in the NHL. But that's what these are for. These are fun. These are for us to fool around and put together something that we think would be an ideal player. Not something that would necessarily work, but we think it would work. So let us know what you think. We're going to post these on all of our social media pages. Let us know what your perfect player would be, and maybe next week we will announce some of those live on the show. That'd be fun.
That'd be good.
That'd be fun. Let's move on to our movie madness bracket. Ladies and gentlemen, first round is complete. And we had everything went the way we thought it was for the most part. for the most part is the key word. Collectively, yes. Let's go through them all. And the first sport that we did was obviously hockey. And all 4 categories went exactly like we thought they would. We had number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4 all go through. So the round 2 matchups are Miracle as our number 1 overall seed going up against Slapshot at the number 4 seed. And number 2 Mighty Ducks against number 3 The Rocket, which is the documentary on Rocket Richard. So let's talk about these 2 matchups. Kyle, I'll let you have the conch because you weren't here last week to help us introduce the movie Madness. What do you think about that Miracle versus Slapshot matchup?
Honestly, I think it's gonna come down to who actually votes. I think Slapshot obviously has a huge following, especially in the hockey movie community. And I think if some people really fell in love with that, there's a huge potential that it upsets Miracle. Miracle's got the the heartwarming story, I guess is what you could say. But there's some people that love Slapshot and they love the Hanson brothers, and it'll be an interesting matchup for sure.
Irfan?
Same thing as Kyle. I guess like you're looking at 2 separate genres. For all 4 movies, like they're all separate genres, so it's going to be interesting to see who actually votes for, let's say, a comedy-esque film for an actual feel-good story, and then if you're looking at nostalgic kid movies versus what was the 4th pick there?
The Rocket?
The Rocket, and then you're going for like another story about arguably one of the better players in the entire league or in the NHL association. So you're looking at a different genre. So it just really depends on who's feeling like voting.
Fair enough. Yeah. No, I think the Rocket versus Mighty Ducks one is going to be the closer of the two matchups, in my opinion. But as Kyle said, if the Slapshot fans come out and vote, we could have a very interesting round 2 matchup between Slapshot and Miracle. That was day 1. Day 2 saw us go to baseball, and that was Tuesday. And again, all 4 top seeds moved on, but one was very, very close to losing out. 42 won easily over Bang the Drum Slowly. Field of Dreams pulled out the win over For the Love of the Game. Moneyball won over $1 Million Arm, and the closest of all of our matchups in the first round across any sport. Sandlot pulled out the win over Major League, but lost the Twitter vote. It won drastically on Facebook and Instagram, but it lost the Twitter vote. So that'll be interesting going into round 2, as Sandlot will be going up against Moneyball, 2 very different movies, as you said for the hockey stuff, and then we have 42 going up against Field of Dreams in round 2. So these will be very interesting matchups. Irfan, you have any thoughts on these?
I'm actually interested to see how Moneyball plays out, just because how great that story is. And then Sandlot, who had a rough time on Twitter, so I don't know how that's going to go on Twitter. But other than that, you're looking at what we said last week about Sandlot being one of the best movies growing up as a kid. So we got to see what range again votes for those. But those 2 to me is probably our closest matchup.
Yeah, for sure. Kyle?
Yeah, like I honestly, I think Sandlot pulls that out personally. I just think the nostalgia with it, especially a bunch of people that are voting on our stuff, is going to hit home in that, I think. But when it comes to the other matchup, it's old school versus new school, Field of Dreams versus 42. Personally, I think it's Field of Dreams. I just think that it's not necessarily the the idea behind the movie itself, but the movie itself, I think it's superior. So.
Okay. I read the book that Field of Dreams is based off of. Far superior to the movie, by the way. If you have time, you should read it.
Yeah, I mean, you can say that about.
No, I agree.
Movies that
it was just, I love Field of Dreams. I'm not saying it's a bad movie. Can you relax? Jeez. Attack me a little bit more. It's just a statement. I think 42 is a better movie, like overall. I love them both, and it's a very, very tough matchup for me to vote. I think 42 should win, but I think you're right that the nostalgia and the memories that we all have of these movies, and even the generation before us has of these movies, might get Field of Dreams into round 3, into the baseball final. Let's put it that way. Moving on, we got basketball, and all 4 seeds. I think I've said this. This is going to be the 3rd time. All 4 top seeds moved on. Coach Carter will face White Men Can't Jump in round 2, while Space Jam will face off against another comedy in semi-pro. Kyle, you want to start with this one?
To be honest, I think this is one of the more easier sports to cover, because I think it's fairly obvious who's going forward. It's 100% Space Jam and Coach Carter. I cannot see any upsets here unless we have some viewers that are very interesting with their movie picks.
Well, I don't know. Like Lawson last week, his favorite basketball movie was Semi-Pro. Right? I think Semi-Pro has a surprising amount of people that follow it and are huge fans of it. So that could be the surprise, I think.
Like I could see it being a surprise if it was up against Coach Carter. But with it being up against Space Jam, I can't see it winning. To be honest. honest. It's just Space. We were talking about the nostalgia. Space Jam was one of the key movies when we were growing up.
Yeah.
Was watching Space Jam. And
But
then
not all
Monster.
of our fans are our age, Kyle.
No, but everybody knows that the second one's coming out, so they've probably watched the first one.
Fair. I'm just saying, not everyone's our age. Not everyone has the same nostalgic experiences with movies that we do.
They're missing out. Like, sorry.
I mean, I would say anyone younger than us might not understand it, but I think for
Oh,
my
actually, I can
5 to
confirm that's true.
Yeah.
100%.
Like
Anyone
younger
younger
than us?
anyone younger than 18-ish doesn't have the same thoughts about Space Jam that we do.
No. I would probably say 25 plus. I mean, I saw a comedy show, a little off topic, a couple years back at the Fringe, and the guy was like a Space Jam comedian, so he's making jokes and references based on the movie because he's like, this is my age group, and he was like 30.
Yeah. Well, no, like, I know my brother watched Space Jam. My brother likes Space Jam. I know TJ did too, right, Kyle?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, that's what I'm saying, like, about 7, 8 years younger than us. Anyone younger than that, Space Jam doesn't hit the same way.
I don't think they've watched any of the movies that are going through either, or they have, but they don't have the same opinions on it.
For sure.
It's the Tide Pod eating group of kids that don't understand it.
Tide Pod? You mean the High School Musical kids? What are you talking about?
No, I'm saying the people that don't understand the Tide Pod eaters. The High School Musical kids are the ones that understand it. That's our age group.
That's us.
Yeah, okay.
That's us.
I forgot we're that old.
Yeah. It's scary sometimes.
Wow. All right, we're gonna move on so we don't cry. Last sport. This was the only one that had an upset. We had an upset in the first round, gentlemen, and it came in football. The number 1 seed made it through. Remember the Titans. Number 2 seed We Are Marshall beat out Invincibles to get into round 2, and the number 4 seed Blindside managed to get into round 2. But the number 3 seed has fallen. Our first upset. Longest Yard has beaten Rudy in the first round to move on. So our second round matchups are Remember the Titans versus Blindside, and We Are Marshall versus Longest Yard. Irfan.
I'm okay with both matchups. I think with Rudy and Longest Yard, it was a toss-up, to be honest with you. Both movies were good, and I think it comes down to, do you like Adam Sandler or not? And I think our voters might have liked him a little bit more. But I think the juicy matchup is Blindside versus Remember the Titans, both with very good stories, both with some sort of emotional edge to it. So I'm looking forward to seeing who comes up with that one.
Kyle?
Yeah, to me the juicy matchup is actually the other one. I can see We Are Marshall. I think is one of the best football movies ever made.
Agreed.
But I think the new school version of Longest Yard and how people, fall in love with that movie, I could definitely see an upset being on that side.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge Longest Yard fan. Like, I think it's a good movie, but it was never anything that blew me away. But I know so many people who love that movie. Like, it is a surprising fan base, in my opinion. And it didn't just beat Rudy; like, it beat Rudy down in the first round. I think Remember the Titans and We Are Marshall both go through, in my opinion. I think the two storylines and the way the movies were made were just so good. And I know both are real stories, right, Kyle?
Yes.
Yeah. So the fact that they're real life stories, I think, hits home a lot more than sometimes when the movies are made up. So I think those two will make it through. But I think they're, as you guys said, you each had one matchup being better. I don't know if there is a matchup that's better. I think both of them are really, really good matchups. So it should be interesting to see who moves on to the football final. We are going to post the updated brackets coming up in just a little, probably by Sunday night. And then we will do one sport a day like we did this week. So first up will be hockey on Monday. Then we will go to, I think it was baseball, basketball, and then football. So make sure you stay tuned for all of that this week. Make sure you get your votes in. You can vote Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Facebook and Instagram are on our stories. Twitter, obviously, in the polls on the tweets. Make sure you vote to keep your favorite movies around. And next week, on our show, we will update you on the bracket. And then what we're going to do, instead of doing one sport a day, we're going to do 2 sports and have the polls open for 24 hours or 48 hours on Twitter to add a little bit more in to make sure that we can see everything. All right? So make sure you get your votes in. We want to see which movie comes out as the best. Little shameless plug for our buddy Irfan. He has posted his first 2 articles on the website. The first one is about this whole pandemic and how to take care of your mental health. It's a great read, a little scientifically written, and I love it. But it is a very, very strong read. You should definitely look into that. And then the second one, he reached out to me and Kyle and asked us what our favorite games were of every sport that we've watched. And he put together a little article about games that you should watch while you're stuck at home. So if you get a chance, make sure you read those. Check out what he was saying, and hopefully we can get you through this with some sanity and some sports content. So thank you for those, Irfan.
Loving memories sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find we each had a story based on our favorite game or the game that we wanted to suggest, which is really cool. Like my story was for the Liverpool AC Milan game. Nick, you had it for the 1951 that game, right?
Yep.
Kyle, you had another one as well. So I mean, we all have special ties to the different games that we've suggested. So please do take a read.
Yeah, I think my biggest one was actually the Rams Titans Super Bowl.
That one too, yeah, with your dad.
Yeah, first game that I can vividly remember watching with my dad. First Super Bowl. So that meant a lot.
Tweet at us. Let us know which movie brings that nostalgic essence to your viewing life, I guess, and we'll talk.
Yeah, I had a couple more that I didn't tell Irfan because it was more heartbreak than anything. It was the Pats Super Bowl against the Giants every time.
Wah. Sucks.
And I just didn't want to bring it up because every time, whenever David Tyree and Mario Manningham made those catches, it was just ultimate heartbreak and like.
Yeah, I almost added it to the list because you know what, those were very good games.
Yeah.
Well, that first one especially, the David Tyree one was insane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it was the fact that like it could have been a perfect season and like.
But the game itself, like if you actually take out all the story of perfect season, all this crap, the game itself was actually a very, very good Super Bowl in comparison to a lot that have been played recently.
I was gonna say recently there haven't been a lot of actually good Super Bowls.
No, that's what I'm saying. So it would have that is a good game to watch. Then you add in the storylines going into the game with the perfect season, the being down going into the fourth quarter, the David Tyree catch. Like you add all that in, and this becomes an even more incredible story. Like, so that would have been a good one to add.
Yeah, I didn't really want to bring it up. It's not exactly great.
Don't worry. I thought of it because you know, like Nick said, toss the perfect season aside. That Patriots team was very good. So was the Giants. So
yeah. Well, weren't the Giants a wild card that year?
I think so.
Yeah, but they
were
pulled
a wild card.
So yeah, I think they were the 5.
Yeah, I think it was like a Cinderella type season, whereas the
wild card they should not have won that. They should not have won that game, but shit happens.
They shouldn't have, but they did.
Ready for a fun fact about that first Super Bowl, the Rams Titans one that I mentioned? So my family used to do a pick'em pool, right? And every week you pick all the winners based off of the spreads. And my dad used to put me into the pool too. I must have been like 5 at that point, right? Something like that. I actually won the pool that year. So at the Super Bowl party when they give out the prizes and everything, I actually won, and I was confused as hell. as to what was going on at 5 years old, but I vividly remember being called up and I'd be like, okay, and I just gave it to my dad. I think it was like $150
Oh, well.
at 5.
Yeah, your dad might have just done the picks for you at one point as well. Could you be like,
No.
or did you make your own picks?
He always let me do my own picks. Now,
Oh,
I don't
okay.
know why I picked some of them. I know I always picked the Packers. No matter who they were playing, I always picked the Packers. Didn't care about what the spread was. Never picked the Bears. Refused to pick the Bears.
Well,
A
if you say
couple.
at that point they were terrible.
Well, that and I just didn't like the Bears.
The Bears.
I think I almost always picked the Bills because they were my grandmother's favorite team.
Right.
Like the way I picked was stupid. Sometimes I just picked based off team names.
Mm-hmm.
I was 5. Like I didn't know anything.
That's fine.
Honestly, sometimes that works out better than if you actually do your research, though.
Exactly.
When you do your research, you start overthinking things.
Exactly. So I ended up winning that year, and I know that was one of my first memories of sport with my father. So that's why that game means so much to me. But I always laugh that was the year that I remember because it was the year that I won.
Hey man, it's always a good memory tied to why it was.
Absolutely. Anything else coming up for you guys that you want to talk about, or?
No, just I think we're following the coronavirus story I mentioned just before the start of the show, where they're looking at testing. I had air quotes when I said that, but testing on a different population and on a different continent. Didier Drogba, Samuel Eto'o, and Demba Ba have been following that. So if you are following me on Twitter, you'll see my likes and my retweets that have been following this closely. It's a very, very touchy subject when you're looking at testing on a different population based on race. So if you want, tweet at me. We'll talk about it. If you want to say why you think it's going to work, please don't say that because I don't think it's appropriate. But we should talk about why it's wrong and start a conversation at that point.
Well, no. If someone does think that it is the way to go, that's an open conversation to have, and we're more than welcome to have that conversation. Just make sure it doesn't get, out of place.
Like, choose your words carefully because if we look at the past, this hasn't worked. It isn't a smart idea. But again, like Nick said, we are open to a conversation. So please do at me and let's have a conversation about it.
Kyle, anything you got coming up?
I have absolutely nothing coming up. I'm working during the week and trying to survive my sanity for the rest of the time. So, but I'm always following all these updates and everything like that. So. If I do find a couple touching points, then I will surely make a statement for sure.
Awesome. And we will, with the NFL draft coming up, we are working on a mock draft article. We've recruited some of my fellow sports journalism classmates at Centennial College to give us their rankings. Kyle, I know you've sent yours in too. Irfan, you're more than welcome to send yours in if you want to. I will not be because I don't know enough to put a full mock draft together. I can get you through the first 15 picks. The last 17 of the first round, no idea. Not a clue. Don't care. So, up to you, Irfan.
I didn't include any trades in mine. But
no one did. I said we aren't doing any trades. I think, yeah, as you said, there's probably a lot that are going to happen. But so once we put that together, once we flesh that article out, that will be coming out on the website. Make sure you check out Irfan's stuff. Make sure you read my stuff that's already out there. Kyle will put something out at some point. We have full faith in him. But yeah, I guess that'll pretty much do it for us here today. Make sure you check out our brand newly renovated website. We cleaned it up a little bit, made it a little flashier. But we think it's we are very happy with what we've been doing, guys, and we hope that we're helping you get through this interesting time, is what I'm going to say. Not terrible time, interesting time.
No, interesting time. We're learning
unprecedented time.
Unprecedented time. That's a great word, Kyle. So, thank you for listening, and we will see you next time.